sit tight while the strongest Avenger goes on a conquest of revenge and self-discovery. The Planet Hulk is a fantastic revelation of how betrayal can destroy a mighty superhero and how true bonds formed, even during battles and bloody encounters, can send someone on a path of healing. It takes you on a journey on the planet of Sakaar, and a journey through the mind of the Hulk, also introducing many new charismatic characters who you'll grow to love. It has cameos by some of several favorite characters and overlaps with other comic sagas like the Fantastic Four and the Illuminati. And lastly, Planet Hulk sets a precedent for one of the greatest wars that go down in the history of the Marvel Universe, World War Hulk. So, without further ado, let's get this ride started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, thrives with money and dazzle as our protagonist is sitting inside a 10-wheeler, taking a turn 37 miles away from all the glamour and hedonism to deactivate a Hydra weapon in the desert. Hulk is skeptical about this weapon. He questions whether it's even a real Hydra weapon or not. Once they reach the location, Hulk finds that the team has tracked the readings of the weapon coming from a cave about 75 feet underground. Hulk enters the cave. There are lasers, but nothing strong enough to take him out. The further he walks, the connection of his walkie falters. Whatever this weapon is, it's jamming the signals. He screams in his walkie-talkie to clear out the area. The explosion can be massive. Nobody hears him clearly enough to respond. Hulk realizes that it's a gamma bomb, the only thing that's lethal to him. The seismic vibration from his entrance has triggered the countdown. It blasts before he has a chance to deactivate the Thing. On the other side of the country, in Manhattan, Ben Grimm, aka the Thing, is discussing stocks on a call on his Bluetooth while throwing around some rocks. His usual workout regime. Reed Richards and Susan Storm are worried about their children, Franklin and Valeria. There's a custody issue. The Child Welfare Department isn't sure whether their children are being raised in a safe environment, especially with all the buildings blowing up every Tuesday and all the superhero fighting their parents have to do. Johnny is quite rattled too. They are his niece and nephew, after all. But there are other issues at hand that Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman can't attend to. They have parental responsibilities to take care of. Johnny and Ben need to go to Las Vegas. Reed tells them about the explosion in Vegas. The crew sent there to take care of it was killed, and Banner was nowhere to be found until an hour ago when an enraged Hulk was spotted 5 miles outside Vegas. The Thing is gonna need more than his superhuman strength to subdue the Hulk if the gamma bomb has affected his psyche. So, the Human Torch and the Thing leave to take care of the mission. Oh, hey, before I continue, please consider subscribing to us. It may be a small click for you, but it helps us in brilliant ways to keep bringing you these marvelous long reads. And now, let's continue. 5 hours later, Johnny and Ben reach Vegas. The cleanup crew has closed down the roads and is trying their best to decontaminate as much as possible. One of them informs Johnny and Ben that a low-flying chopper may have spotted the Hulk near an airfield. He's left a trail of destruction behind him. They got the Thing there because he may be the best chance of taking down a rogue Hulk, as claimed by Banner himself. Johnny is mostly there for transportation. An irritated Human Torch asks for some asbestos gloves and leaps into the air with Ben hanging by his hands. A giant rock comes racing toward them. They speculate it to be the Hulk. Who else is strong enough to throw such a large boulder? A raging grey monster comes in at full speed to knock the Thing out. Ben attempts to reason with the Grey Hulk, but his mind is confined. He's in a constant state of hallucinations. Johnny swirls around him, banding him in a whirlpool of fire, but with a clap of hands, Hulk sends him flying into a canyon. The Thing lunges at him while trying to reach out again. Your brain's messed up because of that gamma bomb blowing up in your face. Couldn't get out of the way. It made you even more hulky than you already were, and his attempts to bring Bruce back only sent him farther down the rabbit hole of another hallucination, a memory. His own experiment blew up in his face. He'd started the countdown when that teenager Rick wandered onto the test field. He'd run to save him, but he couldn't stop the explosion of the gamma bomb. The memories keep coming back to haunt him. The Thing and Human Torch use a sonic disruptor to tame the Hulk, but it only sends him down another memory lane, his beloved Jarella lying dead in front of him. Another love lost. So much loss. It just never ends. Ben uses a sonic disruptor to jerk him back to reality, but the disruptor does jack. The Hulk is still smashing. Distraught and angry, the Hulk takes a long jump toward the Sin City. He crashes into a hospital, sending people to run terrified for their lives. He comes across a man with bandages tied around his eyes. His friend, Jim, another person he couldn't save, another hallucination. Saving Jim meant potentially turning him into a monster like himself. He'd never wish that on anybody. There was no choice. Human Torch comes in, blasting Hulk out the window. He's trying his best to keep him in control, but to no avail. The Thing has a different strategy in mind. He understands Hulk one monster to another. A gamma bomb had just blown up in his face, flooding his mind with all his traumatic memories, especially the one that turned him into a giant green monster. His mind is foiling him. He can't separate reality from memory. Ben thinks he can reach out to Banner. He's still in there, really deep in there. Johnny agrees to give him a chance to bring Dr. Bruce Banner back, but promises that if Ben dies, then he's going all Nova. Ben tries to talk to the Hulk, make him understand that whatever he's experiencing isn't real, and they'll get him treatment, but the Thing's figure morphs into another shadow vision. It's Betty Ross Banner on the table, his wife dying. She was somehow exposed to more gamma radiation than Banner. There's a very low possibility that she'll survive. Hulk smashes again. Everyone he loves or cares for ends up dead, and here he is, a monster unkillable. The fight continues as he gets more shadows of his past creep into his mind to haunt him. General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross proclaims, "I said you're an obscenity freak." Samuel Stern, aka the leader, mocks him, saying, "A useless, brainless waste of protoplasm." Doc Samson, his friend, asserts, "A monster, incapable of affection and undeserving of love. Hideous." Dr. Bruce Banner's voice echoes, We should have died in that explosion. Saved the world from one more monster. We deserve to die." People start betting on the fight happening outside, mostly on the Hulk. The Thing is incredibly patient and tries his best to control Hulk, but his mind doesn't stop playing games. A voice inside his head keeps getting louder and louder. "Perhaps you are doomed to be this monster for all time. Doomed." Hulk lands a deadly blow on the Thing, nearly crushing him to death. Johnny has had enough of it. He doesn't waste another moment before going supernova on the Hulk. It takes all of his strength to bring Banner back to his consciousness. It's been a little while since the whole Vegas Hydra fiasco. Bruce Banner has confined himself to the coldness of Alaska, far away from being a danger to intelligent life forms. He gets his monthly supplies delivered by a guy named Mark, a quiet human life like he always wanted. But this time, Mark has brought him something else with supplies. A message from Nick Fury. They need Hulk again. Another mission. Banner leaves to meet Fury. There's a mission concerning Hydra again. They built a space station, supposedly for experiments. But Fury informs him that the Shield has found out this rogue satellite is a cover specifically designed to target and detonate nuclear weapons all over the world. Banner has the caliber to handle it from Earth. His qualities extend beyond smashing. He is a scientist, after all. But Fury asks Bruce, or rather Hulk, to go up there and take care of this looming threat once and for all. Hulk takes off in a space shuttle. Part 1. Beginning of the end. Hulk is inside the space capsule, waiting to reach his destination. Just then, a mechanical tentacle bursts into his shuttle, grabbing him by the waist. He's pulled outside the capsule into space with his mask still intact. He's fighting to get out of the claws of the mechanical tentacle, and soon he manages to break the damn thing, only to invite dozens of more tentacles to bind him from every direction. This was Nick Fury's plan all along. Get Hulk to enter orbit to get him inside another space shuttle that'll take him truly far, far away. The Illuminati and Fury had been planning this mission for days now. Get rid of the threat, the Hulk. The Illuminati is an elite organization comprised of Earth superheroes such as Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Professor X, Mr. Fantastic, Captain America, Namor, the Submariner, White Queen, etc., etc. They mostly function as a think tank to protect their universe from any high-level threats. Most recently, they thought a lot about Hulk and decided getting rid of him was the best option available. He is incredibly strong, unpredictable, and erratic. If he stays on Earth, he may become more of a threat than a help. They found a planet for him that's safe and quiet, uninhabited by intelligent life but full of vegetation and game. They're sure that he'll be safe there. Bruce Banner will get his well-deserved retirement on a peaceful planet like he always wanted. Namor warns the rest of them that sending Hulk away may not be a wise decision. If he manages to come back, he'll kill them all. But the Illuminati have made their decision. A recorded message plays on the screen in the shuttle. "Bruce, we're so sorry, but you've left us with little choice." His friends, his comrades, whom he's fought side by side, have tricked him, banished him from his home. Rage boils inside his chest as he listens to his friends justify why they've chosen to do this. The recording keeps playing. "There'll be no one there to hurt you, and no one you can hurt. You always said you wanted to be left alone. May you finally find peace." The rage surges through his muscles and mind, drowning out their conniving voices. Hulk, a behemoth of rage, starts destroying the inside of the shuttle. The space shuttle loses control as as it goes spiraling into a wormhole. It crashes. It's landed on a new planet, crawling with intelligent life forms. Not the destination his so-called friends had picked for him. The moment he exits the shuttle, human-sized bug-like creatures race to attack him. He crushes them like the insects they are when a dart pierces his hard skin in the back of his neck. Humanoid aliens come forth to take him prisoner. This is a squad that looks more in authority than the bugs. The governor of the Wukar province announces himself. He's claiming Hulk to take him to the Crown Prince of Sakaar, the alien planet. The bugs try to press their right on Hulk for being the first ones to find him. They need more people, especially after their emperor waged war. Their crops are dead and their hive is dying. But these humanoids seem to have enough power to set the rules. They proclaim that the laws have changed, and a live being that survived the journey through the portal without being completely obliterated belongs to the Lord Emperor, the Red King. The bugs are commanded to kneel, and so is Hulk. He throws his spaceship at them in response. They shoot him again, leaving him passed out on the ground. When he comes to, he's chained up in a marketplace, hosted on a pedestal for auction. Living beings are not too different on this planet than Earth. Still greedy, still deriving pleasure from others' plight. He's soon bought and thrown into an arena. It's crawling with other creatures as well, and all of them look terrified. A circular monument with people filling the seats and a giant pit in the middle. It's a structure very similar to the Colosseum. The Red King is sitting at the top on a podium, secluded from the rest of the crowd. He almost looks bored. The governor had promised him some exciting games. Nothing looks fun yet. The governor asks him to be patient and announces the commencement of the fight. All the contestants stand on one side with an enormous tentacle creature approaching them. It leaps its many arms at them and catches them one by one to consume them through his gaping mouth and sharp teeth. Hulk sees more human-sized bugs in the arena with him. All are running for their lives. He's had enough workouts for one day. It's time to put an end to this fiasco. He marches toward the giant creature with a battle axe and slices it in half. The Red King is finally intrigued. He catches Hulk's eye. That's the freak show he needs to get rid of to leave the stupid stadium and the planet of Sakaar. He lurches at the podium when the Red King's lieutenant uses a flame gun to extinguish Hulk back on the field. Lieutenant Kyera is a skilled fighter and a loyal servant to her king. She takes the initiative to kill the monster in his honor, but the Red King stops her. He's finally found a worthy opponent and wants to take care of it himself. He steps into his mechanical armor. It's a full-body exoskeleton, hand-operated suit and larger in size than the Hulk. And he's holding a large and heavy Scrammus axe, which he swings at Hulk using full strength. Hulk picks up a broadsword and a shield to block his blow and counterattacks with his sword. Other gladiators in the arena also try to take a turn at the Emperor. A bug-like creature launches at the king with a Dane axe. Hulk pushes the bug out of the way. He wants to take out the king himself. He lands another lethal blow on the king's suit of armor. This one he feels. Lieutenant Kyera jumps in front to defend her king. Hulk and Kyera are face to face. A harsh duel is about to go down between them when the Red King stops them. One of his soldiers fires a weapon to knock out the Hulk. This was no act of mercy. He's simply keeping him alive to watch him die later for entertainment. He's willing to go to extreme lengths to torture him in order to make him kneel. His people need to see this undefeated green mammoth submitting to the Red King's might. He has the Hulk thrown into the Maw, the Emperor's gladiatorial training school. Hulk finds many more enslaved, all of them waiting for impending doom, forced to fight with monsters or each other. All the prisoners, just like him, have a metal disc attached to their skin, an obedient slug. As if it were not enough for the journey through the wormhole to weaken him, now there's also an obedient slug stuck to him. If he tries to take it off or fights it too hard, it'll fry his brain. Here, the prisoners are pitted against each other. Whoever manages to win will live to see another day until the next brawl. Only 7 make it out of the brutal fight: Korg, Mayek, Hiroim, Lavinsky, Elo Kafi, No Name Brood, and the Hulk. Part 2. Bloody is the new normal. All 7 survivors are thrown inside a cave to await their next fight. Korg is a large rock-like being entirely made of stone and has immense strength and durability. Mayek is a human-sized insectoid with 4 hands and a lot of courage. Hiroim is one of the Shadow People, a former Sakaar priest who draws strength from a primordial, the old power of their home planet, and is a formidable warrior. Elo Kafi is a fiery and athletic humanoid female who belonged to a noble family on Sakaar until the Red King took everything away from her. And Lavinsky is her comrade and protector. He is a warrior who is a member of the Sakaaran resistance and used to be an imperial guard before the Red King's rule began. He was banished to the Maw along with her. No Name Brood from Broodworld is the most dangerous looking one among them all, with its razor-sharp teeth and terrifying alien appearance. It's a race of insectoid parasitic aliens known for their aggressive nature, and aggression is her first choice when she gets into an argument with Mayek. Korg stops them and says it's in everyone's best interest if they work together, or else the next day, none of them will be alive. An alliance is necessary until the day they're again pitted against each other. The next day, in the arena, they're surrounded by lava. Giant creatures are emerging from it. Korg and Hulk are at the forefront of all the action. They're about to take them on when Korg realizes they're his brothers. His friends and brothers were captured along with him. He thought they were long dead, but here they stand before him and he has to fight them. Korg screams, "Brother!" as his brother Margus leaps at him and throws him to the ground. He still screams for his brothers to stop attacking him. He doesn't want to hurt them. Lavinsky shouts,
"He can't hear you, Korg. He fought his disc too long. His brain's gone."
Hulk starts smashing his way through them, while Korg cries in agony as he also begins to kill his own brothers. They win. Somewhere else on this planet, away from the gladiator fights, a group of natives of Sakaar are hiding in caves, discussing their dark future. If they do nothing, then the reign of the Red King's tyranny will never stop. Species are going extinct because of his extreme measures, and he's not batting an eye. They're talking about a foreign being that recently crashed on their planet, was enslaved by the governor, and offered up to the king. The Red King himself stepped into the arena to slash the being's cheek. But the interesting news is that the aliens slap back. No one has the strength to do that when the king is in his armor. So this green Goliath may be their answer to freedom. Back at the Colosseum, the soldiers give the winners protective armor for the next fight. They've been upgraded. They carry the winners on a flying disc to their next site. While on the flight, Korg mourns his brothers. He whispers to himself a little prayer.
"Rocking to stone, stone to sand. Find him and keep him, O Lord."
As he scatters their ashes in the air, they spot an Imperial pleasure cruiser hovering above them. It's filled with people who have come to witness the spectacle of a bloodbath. They first notice farmers down below. Surely they won't make them fight innocent farmers. That's when Korg points out the Charlene Plains' most lethal pack of wilderbots. They are glaring robotic beasts with claws and tentacles for arms. They come charging at the seven. Hulk jumps at the largest one with his battle axe and shield, and in a single blow, he breaks it down. The audience cheers with craze. The Green Scar is proving to be the most formidable warrior they've ever seen. Yet another victory. The oppressed also witnessed this fight, and a sense of burning hope is slowly rising in their chests. This may be the man, the Sakarson, and their savior, or the world breaker and destroyer. The victors are offered a lavish meal after the fight. They're sitting in a great hall with other Sakaar natives, some serving, some applauding. The hungry winners are gulping down the food when a person comes to Lavinsky and tells him that there's more surprise waiting, especially for him. A group of women giggle and make eyes at him from behind. Pleasure comes in every shape and form, and Ski hesitantly yet excitedly goes to them, while Elo Kafi rolls her eyes at the entire situation. Hulk takes a look at a female shadow warrior like Hiroim, who sits calmly away from their table. It's Lieutenant Kayera, and she looks at him with malice. Natives flood into the place cheering for Hulk. They found him, finally. The son of Sakaar. Like their forefathers predicted, he has to be the one, and he needs to join them. Elo lets out a breath of relief. She's been waiting for them to come for a while, and now she can't just make her escape. But with Hulk's help, they can take down the Red King. She beckons Hulk to come with them, but to her surprise, he refuses. He's had enough of this on Earth. One minute they call you their savior hero, and the next minute they cheat you into going to another planet because you're too much of a monster. He'd rather sit and have his dinner. The soldiers overpower the rogue crowd. By then, Elo is taken captive. Hulk makes an attempt to stop them, but Elo refuses his help. She'd rather get arrested again than affiliate with someone with no purpose. When Lavin returns, to his horror, he finds Elo missing. He blames himself for it. If only he'd not left her alone. He understands her choice though, perhaps the only one who chose right. He's watched countless citizens, over 30,000 of them, disappear since the Red King took the throne. No one's able to raise their voice, and whoever does ends up in the maw, either killing or getting killed. His wars have claimed thousands of slaves and foreign soldiers. Doesn't stop there. The Emperor has managed, in his single period of rule, to wipe out so many native hives. So if Elo took a stance, then 3 cheers to her. A soldier comes in to inform them that they can rest for the day. Their win against the Wilderbots has made the Premier View box feed, and the Imperial League has taken notice. Their next big throwdown will be the next day. Part 3, an ode to our brother in arms. The Red King is in his palace, speaking to his counselor. He wants an update regarding the war. His counselor tries to discuss the problems with Wilderbots and native hives being wiped out. The king has no interest in it. The Philians, one of the native hives, are creating trouble. War is necessary. He suggests that maybe it's time for the spikes again, a parasitic alien species that looks like spiky spores. It attaches itself to a host and gets under their skin, then quickly takes over their whole body by protruding large spikes from the host. The infected being loses all control over their senses and turns violent and unstoppable. The king is willing to let a whole bunch of spikes loose on the planet just to assure his dominance. Hulk and the rest of the platoon soon were walking back to their holding cell from the hall when he came across Kaera, the king's lieutenant and shadow. She, like Hiroim, is also one of the shadow people. She fights for her king, but mainly for honor. The minute she sees Hulk, she puts a blade at his throat. She views him as a threat, but their confrontation is short-lived. She's there to discuss a more peaceful approach to getting rid of Hulk. He stands a threat to the Emperor. The people are starting to revolt because of him. Perhaps she can buy him off and send him away to the steppes, peaceful place where he'd not need to fight anymore. But Hulk has been through a very similar ordeal very recently. He has no faith in her words, and he'd rather stay. The next morning, another fight begins. Lavin, Hiroim, Mayek, Korg, Brood, and Hulk enter the arena once more. They've already survived 2 rounds of this, one more in the Great Arena, and they'll be free. If they win the 3rd round, then they'll be recognized as citizens of Sakaar, and with Hulk and Korg's strength and all of their teamwork, it seems like a very real possibility. Thousands of people are seated, waiting for the battle to begin. An Imperial dreadnought ship is hovering overhead. The Red King has planned this. It's a warship, and he wants to make sure that they don't win. A bomb is released from the bottom of the ship and fast approaching them. Hulk asks Korg to take cover and shield everyone else as he jumps toward the bomb. The governor announces on the mic that this act is a gross violation of rules, and the Deathfire bomb was released in the middle of the city among countless citizens and gladiators, only armed with swords and shields. The guards stop him from inciting the crowd more and take him away. Hulk has managed to absorb most of the backfire from the bomb, using just his body. He saved them all, everyone except Lavinsky. He's lost an arm. Injured and bleeding, he falls to the ground. Hiroim comes rushing to his aid. There's not much he can do, but at least a prayer can be said. But there's no time for prayers. Lavinsky sees the Death's Head war guards coming for them next. He doesn't need a prayer, he needs a sword. Lavin has faced these war guards before. He knows their strengths and weaknesses. They have laser cannons, but if they get close enough, then skilled swordsmen can hit them at the joints. That's where they're most vulnerable. Lavin and Hiroim are both very handy with their weapons. Korg can provide protection until they're close enough. But if they miss, then that's it. They face them head on. One of the head guards is angry at this decision. He'll lose a good squadron of Death's Head war guards just for a game. They played a crucial role in wiping out the spikes during the war. They may be needed again someday, but no one must question the Red King. It's his game, and only his rules apply here. Before he has a chance to raise another question, the war guards have beaten down most of the gladiators. They say in a robotic voice,
Enemy down.
Just then, Hulk pulverizes the war guard, screaming, "Enemy mad!" He's bruised and beaten. The war guards are impaling him with spears from every direction. But that doesn't stop Hulk. He keeps fighting, getting angrier after every stab. He grabs hold of them and crushes them to the ground. They have won yet another fight and lost a friend. Lavinsky didn't survive the battle. He fought bravely, even after he was hurt. He never gave up and died a hero. The last 5 gladiators are sitting around Lavin's body in the holding cave while Hiroim offers a solemn prayer in Lavin's honor. Everybody mourns his loss while wondering about what'll happen to them next. They highly doubt that the Red King would let them live and surely not set them free. All of them have past tragedies they're carrying, terrifying memories of their personal wars. The sitch with the Red King doesn't quite faze anyone. To break the tension, Mayek asks Korg about what he thinks. Instead, no-name Brood replies with a story. Part 4. The Warbound Pack. No-name Brood doesn't scare easy. Not after what she's been through on her home planet. She and her sisters were called Warriors Prime on Brood World. They were the greatest soldiers, and when foreign beings invaded their world, their queen sent them after the invaders. They were sent deep into the twisted catacombs below their capital city, and when they went into fight, they were swallowed whole by creatures who were a greater threat than them. Brood and her sisters could only wait to be digested alive when an entity far more fearsome than any creature killed their whole world. They believed it to be a vengeful soul of a past enemy, and its great light would judge all who stood before it. Any brood that faced it would be instantly crystallized. The monster that swallowed them faced the same fate, but she and her sisters were the only ones who were safe inside the crystallized monster, and it acted as a vessel as they sailed to a new world. So, no emperor can scare her enough, even with death. Mayek asks Korg if he can top this story, and he says yes. When he was young, just a rockling, he and his brothers traveled through space to a small planet that was covered with greenery. There, they encountered the first native of the land and were blown to bricks. They were attempting to capture him so that they could take him back to their home to study it, and with their stone strength and youthful spirit, nothing seemed impossible. But they turned out to be so very, very wrong. The native being defeated them without breaking a sweat, chipping away stones from their flesh. They released their most lethal mechanoid warbot on him, but he cracked it like a toy. When they got hold of him for a moment in their strongest cage, he tore through it, screaming,
Iron bars do not a prison make, not when the prisoner has the might of Thor.
Korg and his brothers immediately fled the planet, imagining all the natives of the place to be as strong, but it turned out that Thor was the only one so powerful, and also that he was a god. So, a puny king doesn't really scare him. He managed to get out alive after taking on a living god. Next, they turn to Hulk. His story is just a repeated mistake. Every time he's helped humans, they've reprimanded him for being a monster. Whenever they needed help, they called after him. There's a bomb that no one can defuse? Call the Hulk. He can use his whole body to absorb the blast from the bomb. Now, if that ends up affecting him, they conspire behind his back to get rid of him or lock him away. No one ever cared about Hulk as a person, not when he was their ally, and definitely not now. But the worst of all was Bruce Banner. He built a bomb that could eradicate an entire city, and he used it to try and kill Hulk. The shadow of rage has been with him ever since that explosion, but he came out of it stronger than ever. Banner was the puny human who let fear of ostracization pull his strings and run the show. But as it turns out, Hulk is no puppet. He's better off being a monster who's celebrated than a hero who's disdained. Mayek then tells his tale. Ever since he lost his whole hive, he's been surviving in fear, stealing and hiding in alleyways until the 6 victorious gladiators came into his life. They saved him and protected him during every fight and fought beside him. He found courage and hope in them. Lavin's death has only motivated him more. He's scared of no king anymore. Even if he loses 3 of his hands, he shall fight with 1, like Lavinsky did. Edoim stands up and asks his comrades around him to make a pact. They are doomed to be in this oppressed world, and they don't know what waits for them on the other side. They may get their promised freedom or die trying, but it's better to die fighting with your friends as one than all alone. He utters the words, "Let us be warbound, in life and death, the oath that cannot be broken." Edoim speaks on behalf of Lavinsky, protector of Elokafi and a brave warrior. He, too, shall be bound to the warbound, even in death. They all join hands in unison, declaring that their alliance is an eternal and unbreakable bond. Edoim says, "Edoim, the shamed, shadow warrior, and Saka priest," as he places his hand on Lavin's body. Mayek extends one of his hands over Heroim's, saying, "Mayek, unhived, last one, living." Korg grumbles, "Korg of Krona, son of Okorg and Ahana, brother killer of Margus," keeping his stony hand over Mayek's. They all have promised their lives as they look at Hulk. Hulk has come a long way since Earth, but he's not forgotten what his ex-comrades did to him. The fire of rage has subdued but not extinguished. He still remembers their betrayal. But to move forward, he needs to not judge these new friends by the incidents of his past. We all choose our paths, and sometimes the path is clear, sometimes not. Every twist and every turn can challenge our sense of direction, but it's the choices we make when we reach a fork in the road that define who we truly are. Hulk places his hand over Korg's and becomes one with the Warbound Pact. Part 5. He's a friend from work. Lieutenant Kyera and one of the king's men are walking towards the holding cell of the great arena. Kyera is getting more annoyed after every fight. The Hulk and his gladiators keep winning. His popularity is compromising the king, which he refuses to see. They cheer, "Green Scar! Green Scar!" after every fight, but Kyera has a final ace up her sleeve. The prisoner that she asked the king's man to bring may be the answer to the green colossal animal. It is the Silver Savage, famously known as the Silver Surfer. He was captured by the Death's Head war guards the second he landed on Sakaar. They implanted an obedient disc on his skin and took him into holding. He resembles the prophesied Sakarson. Everyone who sees him assumes that he is their saving grace, their martyr. People outside his holding cell shout, "Sakaar, son!" beckoning him to hear them. Kyera asks him about his origins, but the Silver Surfer sits mute in his cell. The king's man electrocutes him using the obedience slug attached to his body to make him talk. His life has been reduced to death and desolation ever since he went on a quest searching for something more. His world was abundant with peace and pleasure, something that most worlds only dream of. Yet, there he was, longing for adventure, hardships, and pain to make meaning of his calm life. When terror came, he stood alone to fight and was transformed into the Silver Surfer. Since then, he's been cruising galaxy after galaxy, always searching for something more until he came across a wormhole. He was powerful enough and could have avoided it, but being a chaos junkie, he went through the portal anyway and happened upon Sakaar. Kyera strongly believes that the Silver Savage is quite whiny, but strong enough to take out the green Herculean monstrosity. The citizens of the Throne City hear a triple drum call coming from the arena. Their king has declared a public holiday so that everyone can take a look at the bloodbath. Workers, more slaves are cleaning the arena before the next fight when one of them spots a rare plant growing out of a green liquid. It's the Green Scar's blood. The plant growing out of it is no ordinary plant. It's an Aleha alvine, only prophesied to grow from the blood of the Sakarson, their savior and martyr. He tells it to another slave, but before they have a chance to do anything about it, they're sent back to their quarters. The gladiator team of Warbound enters the arena, and the crowd goes wild. The announcer announces their names one by one, generating even more screams and cheers from the audience. This is going to be the final trial that'll set them free, one way or another. Either they'll leave them or their souls will leave their bodies. The citizens, slaves, and oligarchs sit tight as the final challenge approaches the Warbound. It's the Silver Savage. Hulk recognizes him immediately. Hiroim tells Hulk that he should be on guard with this one. The king's people have painted him to look like the Sakaar, but only Hulk knows that it's not paint. He tells Hiroim that he's worked with Silver before. He knows and respects the man. They were together when Dr. Strange assembled the team of the Defenders. He's an old friend. The Silver Savage has no choice but to fight. It's his life versus Hulk's. They go head-to-head with each other. Silver slams a mace over Hulk's armor, making him really furious. Hulk thought, because they're friends, he'd try to restrain himself from fighting, but he's the same as the ones who sent him away. Hulk throws a hard punch, but Silver is more powerful. He sends Hulk flying to the other end. Everybody else starts attacking the Silver Savage all at once. Mayek and Brood attack from behind, and he uses his mace to break their swords. Korg comes at him, and he uses his surfboard to throw him off balance. Hiroim and Hulk talk an attack strategy. They only have one more chance at this. The Silver Savage is too skilled and strong. Hiroim is going to go high, and Hulk's going low. Hiroim launches himself at Silver. She blocks using his board, and that gives Hulk an opening to strike him right where it hurts. He goes for the chest, and ends up breaking the obedience disc. Finally, the Silver Surfer has his free will, and he can stop himself from fighting. He thanks Hulk for it, but that doesn't stop Hulk from smashing him down again. He sees red now. He keeps hitting him over and over until he sees blood. Korg finally comes to stop him.
Hulk, no. We've won.
Hulk's head clears a little from primal rage, and he stands. Korg shouts to the crowd.
We've survived 3 rounds. 3 rounds in the great arena. Give us our freedom.
But it's not as easy. The Red King has something else in store for them. Lieutenant Kyera brings 3 captives before them, and one of them is Elo Kafi. The Green Scar had slashed the face of the Emperor, so he must prove loyalty before they're set free. They need to kill Elo, the traitor, to show they've bent the knee, and they still have their obedience discs attached to them, so trying to fight is going to be of no use. But they'll not do it. Lavinsky, the Warbound brother, was Elo Kafi's protector, and they will not harm her. Hiroim invokes the Warbound provisions of the Shadow Pact. If the terms are violated, the treaty between the Emperor and the Shadow People will be broken. Kyera the Oldstrong argues that breaking the rules of the bond shouldn't be a problem for Hiroim, as he's done it before. Hiroim counters her, implying that their people haven't had the privilege to maintain these bonds in their community since the king ascended the throne. Their words make no difference. Then one of the soldiers zaps all of their obedience discs, forcing them to kneel on the floor. Just then, Silver Surfer shoots a bolt of cosmic power, breaking their obedience discs. He has been freed, and now he's going to free everybody else from all the barbaric enslavement and coerced combat. Hiroim, Korg, Mayek, Brood, and Hulk, all of their discs are broken, and they take that chance to declare mutiny on their oppressors. They break out of the great arena with Silver Surfer and Elo Kafi, all the slaves who were either forced to fight or escape from that place. Once they're outside, the Silver Surfer tells Hulk that the obedience disc prevented him from using his power cosmic. Now, he can fly away to the stars again. He offers to take Hulk with him, but Hulk refuses. When he first saw Silver, Hulk wanted him to take him somewhere on his flying saucer, far away from any human life. He was envious of Silver for being able to surf away from galaxy to galaxy whenever any place got too much for him. But Hulk has finally found a place like that, and he fits here. So, the Silver Surfer bids him goodbye and takes off into the deep blue sky. Hiroim guides all the escapees to follow them into the twisted woods. The Green Scar is right behind them and will protect them. Back at the great arena, some Sakaar natives have huddled around a plant growing from the ground. Everywhere, the Green Scar's blood has fallen, a new plant has bloomed, and that is the ultimate symbol that their savior has arrived, just escaped the Maw. Part 6. There's my dark passenger. Everybody's resting inside the twisted woods for the night, all fast asleep. Mayek hears some mumbling in a low voice. He gets up to check it. It's Hulk. His eyes are closed, but he's talking in his sleep. In the stillness of the night, Hulk's breath gets heavier as the cold breeze pricks his skin. A familiar mocking voice sneers at him, inviting an uneasy feeling in the pit of his stomach. A cold shiver runs down his spine as he hears the words, "Exiled from Earth, enslaved on an alien planet, thrown onto the bloody sands where you had to smash with all your strength. It's like a dream come true for you, isn't it?" The voice is ringing in his head, ridiculing him for befriending monsters. The things have nightmares. The figure stands tall, confident with an air of superiority. It's him, Bruce Banner, Hulk's recurring nightmare. The way he looks at Hulk, it's clear that he's back to claim control. His gaze pierces through him, seeing every flaw, every insecurity. Hulk hides behind monsters and demons in his dreamscape. They provide him more comfort than that draconian excuse for a human. He feels Banner's presence pressing down on him, an oppressive weight of doubt and disdain as he calls Hulk to stop being a coward and show himself. Then appears another figure, drawing Banner's attention. It's Jarella. Hulk remembers the pain he felt when Jarella died, and he couldn't do anything to prevent it. This is a gift he shares with Banner. She approaches Banner, calling his name. They're back on the planet Kai. Jarella stands on the balcony of her castle as Hulk takes on the monster boars and defeats them. The people of Kai carry him on their shoulders to celebrate his victory. As Jarella smiles down at him, Banner says,
Okay, I get it. You're dreaming, Hulk. Look at you, living these old stories again. Ugh, this is embarrassing.
Hulk is now standing on the balcony in his gladiator uniform with Jarella, and all of the citizens are cheering for them. His friends stand with him too. Hiroim, Korg, Elo, Mayak, and No-Name Brood. But right at the back stands his fiendish shadow, looking at him with disgust. Bruce Banner has always been in the back of his head, but his resurfacing wasn't something for which Hulk was prepared. This haunting is not external, but internal. Battle of wills between him and the version of him that he despises, maybe even fears. This dark passenger travels with him everywhere he goes, and now he has to try his best to not let him take over. A giant human hand comes to grab Jarella and takes her away. Hulk cries out for her, but Bruce reminds him that Jarella's true love was always Bruce Banner. He is the one she fell in love with, not Hulk. Hulk is left standing alone in a void of darkness, helplessly calling his lover to come back. He then hears a taunting laugh, and then another, and another. All are laughing at him. It boils his blood. Who dares to laugh at him? He's back in the shuttle. He punches a giant hole in the ship out of anger, and then he sees them all. Nick Fury, Thor, The Thing, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Iron Man. They've surrounded him just to criticize and label him as an abomination of nature. Hulk loses his cool immediately. He grabs Tony and tears him in half, leaving the rest in shock. Then he steps on Strange and goes after Spider-Man to separate his torso from his legs too, while his warbound friends beat and bite the rest of them. They're back on Kai. Hulk has Banner by the throat. Jarella looks terrified at Hulk and runs away. Hulk tries to stop her, but he's too late. Banner scoffs at him, saying, "Too late.
She's gone. She's dead. And that's how it ends. And how it will always end. There's no place for you on this planet or any other, because you're a monster."
Banner wants to make him see reason, so he suggests they let Banner come back and repair the ship so that they can go away to the planet the Illuminati had intended for them. But Hulk has become accustomed to his alter ego's trickery by now, and he'll not be fooled again. Banner is smart. He's always trying to manipulate Hulk with his insidious persuasion, a quiet pressure that seeps into his thoughts like a slow-acting poison. He wants to push Hulk over the edge, sending him spiraling into a vortex of hopelessness. Hulk suspects Banner would want to build the ship so that he can carry it into the sun or blow it up mid-air. Why should he leave? Hulk's finally found something family adjacent on this planet and he doesn't intend to go. Banner wants solitude, so he should leave. Hulk turns his back on him and starts to walk away when Banner jumps on him, screaming,
"No, I'll always have you."
Mayak wakes up with grogginess. At first, he thinks it's a mistake, but no. The giant green scar has turned into a smaller, fair, white person. The armor he's wearing has engulfed him. His frame is too small for it. Bruce Banner is back. He's managed to overpower the Hulk. Mayak is shocked, can't believe his eyes. But the Hulk returns to assure him that there's nothing to worry about. He says,
"Don't worry, Mayak. No one here but us monsters."
It was just a glitch in the Matrix. Part 7, Old Wounds. Not so far from the Warbound's camp, Lieutenant Kyera's spy is keeping an eye on them. He uses a telecommunication device to inform Kyera of their camp's location. It's on low grounds and completely vulnerable, plus the smoke from their campfire can be spotted very easily. Kyera asks her spy to hold his position while she discusses strategy with Governor Denebo. She believes that their laid-back attitude is a bad sign. They can be doing it on purpose so that Kyera walks right into their trap. However, the governor thinks that those monsters are not clever enough to concoct such a plan. He's faced the Hulk before, and according to him, the green monster is only a monster.
He fights out of anger or pride, or just because he likes it. Whatever the reason, strategy has nothing to do with it.
He tells her to release the bombs near their suspected campsite. Hulk and his monsters have taken the recently freed slaves into the Twisted Woods, but they don't have a strategy laid out yet. Where to go next? What to do next? They're looking at Hulk, waiting for him to devise a plan. Few of the natives are arguing about the legitimacy of Hulk being their true savior. Mayak tries to convince them that they should put their faith in Hulk. He saved Mayak alone several times since he arrived on this planet. One of the natives is still astonished by the young plant that grew from his blood, while the other thinks that Hulk is nothing more than a brute force who's only useful during a fight. He claims that the green scar is deadly and he eats people. Mayak is unable to stop himself after hearing that. He throws a straight punch at him. Hulk remains calm and only says a few words with a brooding face to properly scare the ungrateful native.
"The more that puny Pinky talks, the hungrier I get.
That manages to scare the bejesus out of him, sending him running in the opposite direction. The spy sent by the Emperor's army hears a noise approaching him, and he starts running away from his position. But the Hulk and Korg are waiting for him. They stop him when the bomb sent by the governor, Kyera, detonate right there. The spy is blown to ashes, but Hulk, a tower of muscle, stands unharmed with his friend. Kyera and her enforcers reach the bomb site soon after. They only find one skeleton. She deduces that only her spy was blown to bits. She calls the governor on the comm and tells him their plan failed. No one was harmed. The bombs have also destroyed all tracks in the valley, and they're back to square one. The governor instructs her to disperse the trackers. Kyera sees something further in the valley and rallies her enforcers towards it with their swords raised. Governor Denebo is ordering the Death's War Guards to kill Sakaar natives. Kyera seems petrified by the circumstances. She asks Denebo why he's doing it, and he very nonchalantly replies that the locals here were hiding food from the army and that it's a crime against their imperial army. Hungry villagers are seen as criminals now, and after witnessing this, Kyera seems to be questioning her faith in the throne and its new laws. Elo, Hulk, Hiroim, and the others witness the whole ordeal from behind the bushes. Elo wants to fight immediately. She can't wait around any longer, and there don't seem to be too many of them. But Hiroim stops them all. He points to the infantry waiting at the far ridge. If they go in now, then the army will rain down hell on them. None of them are trained for war. They need to learn strategy and coordination before they throw themselves on the battlefield. Mayek suggests a place he knows where they could go to train, and all of the Warbound Pack and the freed slaves march toward their next destination. A few miles from the campsite is a farmland with high crops and a small pond pumping water out of it. The locals stand with their shovels as they see soldiers of the king approach them on flying saucers. They've come to deliver a message regarding the Green Scar. If they see him anywhere near their land, then they need to alert the soldiers immediately. These so-called soldiers are never available when the villagers are being terrorized by wilderbots, yet the army expects them to assist whenever called upon. One of the soldiers attempts to give a vague explanation about the Green Scar being a federal military issue and that they're not responsible for the wilderbots, but the local authorities are. Just as he says it, a platoon of wilderbots attack them from behind. Till very recently, the wilderbots were afraid of water, which made them stay away from the farmland, but it seems they've overcome that fear. Instead of helping the villagers, the soldiers tuck tail and run. The villagers run to their head of community, Headman Char, for help. He tells his people to stand firm as they're all by themselves. The Empire abandoned them long ago, but today the fleeing soldiers confirmed it. He takes out his gun and stands tall before the wilderbots. He's not one to go down without a fight. Before they have a chance to strike their swords and shoot their guns, the Warbound comes to their rescue. Hulk and his henchmen dismember and crush the wilderbots before they have a chance to harm the villagers. The locals treat all of them to a hearty meal for coming to their rescue. Headman Char is discussing aligning themselves with the monsters. They seem to be their best chance at survival. They propose their idea to the Warbound, and Korg tells them that they're willing to help out, but Hiroim warns them that all other villagers, including Char, must be careful, because if they betray the Hulk or his friends in any way, then they'll have their heads. Meanwhile, Mayek goes through a door to the other side and finds scraps of a city. It seems to have borne the ravages of war. He then comes across the carcass of a hive, his hive, now reduced to a bony memory. No-name brood follows him, and he can still smell the chem of a hive in the air, a native method for their hives to communicate their memories. Brood hisses, "Your hive." Mayek starts chemming his memories to the rest of them. They see visions from his past, several larvae inside a nest about to hatch. The king bug calls his son Mayek when soldiers on electronic animals ask him to step out of his nest. Lieutenant Char has come to clear the land of any native hives. The new laws prohibit them from reproducing, and the land has been requisitioned by the Emperor. The king bug argues that he fought on behalf of the Emperor when the spikes attacked, and he was granted this land. But Char declares that new laws say that no natives are allowed to hold land within 1,000 spans of the capital. He may be a bug, but he's still a king and won't go down without a fight. Lieutenant Char immediately defeats him and kills all of his hive. Mayek was the only one who survived and was forced into slavery. The massacre is still crystal clear in his head, and he wants revenge. He brought his friends back here because he remembered Headman Char as the slaughterer of his entire family, and he wanted him to pay. Bringing them here under the guise of training was just a ploy. Mayek challenges Char to fight him, and Char agrees, but to a duel so that no unnecessary blood is shed. They're all in the same pod now, against the Emperor, so if his people can be spared, then he'll willingly fight Mayek to death. He tells Mayek to meet him after 12 hours at the same spot the following morning. Char's children are horrified to hear this. They don't wish to lose their father. He's a man of honor and must take responsibility for his actions. He assigns duties to children that they must fulfill when he's gone. One must fetch water every morning. The other must make sure the swords are clean and learn to fight. and another must feed the animals and take care of his friends. They all cry and promise to take care of their duties. Hidoim is showing some fighting techniques to his friends which may prove to be useful later to fight the Imperial infantrymen. He's faced them before and knows their weak spots. He's not doing this so that Mayek can win his little duel, but for the inevitable war that's coming their way. Edmund Shah enters, correcting Hidoim's techniques. They've become old now. Their weak spots used to be the throat, now it's the ankle. Korg quietly asks Mayek to reconsider the duel. Shah may be useful to them later. Now all beings of Sakaar are on the same side, that is against the Red King. Though Mayek is unmoved, he asks Hulk's advice, and he says that if it were up to him, he'd never forgive them, never stop making them pay. The next morning, Shah and Mayek stand inside a circle, facing each other. It's gonna be one or the other. Shah attacks with his spear, cutting one of Mayek's forearms. He falls to the ground, but still doesn't yield. He grabs his spear and gets back, throwing Shah off of him. He takes the spear to Shah's heart and is about to pierce it when they hear a rumble coming from beneath the ground. They stop the fight momentarily to check it out. Hulk lifts a large boulder off the ground, and there it is, Mayek's surviving family. Not all of them died. They look surprised and confused until they notice Mayek. They run to him and pick him up over their shoulders, rejoicing, "Brother Mayek! Brother Mayek!" Kyera, the Old Strong, and her infantry arrive after Mayek and his friends leave. They're greeted with the burned remains of an Imperial village. They ask the headman of the Imperial village if they've seen the Green Scar, but he seems too traumatized to produce a proper answer. Part 8. All hail the Green Scar. In the great arena, wherever the Green Scar has bled, the Al grows there, big and strong, rising beyond the stone walls, crumbling them from within. The slaves who are still captured are enthralled by the sight. They see a ray of hope in that plant. It promises the arrival of the Sakaarson. They've heard a rumor going around about the Green Scar's recent quests. He smashed an Imperial village and freed their native slaves. A surge of courage and insurgence runs through their veins as they pick up arms and attack the Imperial soldiers. Then they see the sky turning red. Fire pours on them like a relentless storm. The Red King has arrived to teach his slaves a lesson. His Holy Highness will absolve anyone who defies him, their savior king. They can either burn or start worshipping him. Back at the Imperial village, the headman Char tells of his endless misery to Kyera. Hulk and his monsters burned his village down and stole his slaves, all after he fed them and treated them with utmost hospitality. They need her and the Empire's help. Governor Denabo assures that the monsters who have wronged them will be caught very soon, but for now, Kyera must leave as her king has called upon her. A rustle is heard from the ocean of crops behind them. A squadron of bugs attack them with spears. They fight in the name of the Green Scar. The Imperial troops expect Hulk and his friends to appear next, but they're nowhere to be seen. Only the bugs who have finally gathered the courage to fight back. Now everyone in Sakaar knows of the Green Goliath's victories. Uprisings are taking place in every corner of the planet. The crew of bugs and Sakaar natives who survived the mutiny at the Great Arena go in search of Hulk. Once they meet him, they expect to join and serve him. Soon they come across Mayek's hive and his friends, Hulk being among them. Hidoim is worried looking at this. A mere native hive with no technological help found them so easily. Then it'll not take long for the Imperial army to find them. Mayek's hive has too many foot soldiers and most of them are younglings. They're slowing them down. Primus Vand, a reckoning who was undefeatable for 4 seasons in the Imperial arena, now commands the Maw. Sakaar natives are thrown in, as had been the tradition for decades now, and they're faced with a gigantic tusked dinosaur-like monster. He stands at a higher ground and screams at the prisoners to fight in the pit, but Hulk enters, punching a hard no to his face. He's back to free all those who are still enslaved and forced to fight in the Maw. Vand orders the prisoners to kill Hulk, but they disobey. They'll not harm the Green Scar. He threatens them with the obedience discs attached to them. He holds the staff that controls the discs, and if he wants, he can fry their brains and still make them obey him. Elo Kafi comes in on a flying saucer, throwing Vand to the pit. She grabs the staff to use it herself. She commands the prisoners to kill Vand instead, but Hulk snatches the staff from her and breaks it. Then he goes on to remove the discs from everybody, freeing them. No more slavery. Vengeance is driving Elo right now. Primus Vand was responsible for killing her father, and she wants to watch him die. Hulk tells her that if that's what she desires, then she can do it herself. The dinosaur-like monster attacks Hulk from behind, and instead of killing it, Hulk removes the obedience disc from it as well, setting it free. The freed natives and the monster march alongside the Warbound away from the hellscape of Maw. Hulk sits on the dinosaur when they arrive at the steps. It's a no-man's land protected by the Shadow People. Even the Empire doesn't have jurisdiction here. It had been a wasteland since the Spike Wars, inhabited by monsters. The perfect place for Hulk and his party. Mayek hears sounds calling him from further down the canyon. Elo checks on her binoculars to see what's going on. It's Governor Denabo and his posse, along with Headman Shah. All of them are busy killing another native hive. It was a mistake to let him live. Hidoim warns Hulk that this is just another ploy to get them down there, unprepared. It's an open space, and they have the advantage of better weapons and death Planet's war guards. But Mayak wants to go and help his brothers. They're crying out for help. Hulk agrees to attack them, whatever may come. They run down the hill toward the Imperial soldiers and war guards. Two armies clash, smashing and burning one another. The Imperial army collapses half a mountain with their bombs. The two Titans, Hulk and Korg, hold the mountain over their heads, preventing it from falling on others while the rest keep fighting. Mayak goes after Char, again driving his sharp spear through his chest. Mayak is in a frenzy, going after anyone he sees in a uniform. Soon, the soldiers surrender, but Mayak hasn't had his fill. Korg butts in to stop him from attacking, but he pays no heed to Korg. Hulk slams his hands together with a resounding force. The impact blows everybody off their feet. Mayak gets angrier and plunges his spear into Hulk's chest. Hulk stands there, quiet and brooding. His silence is enough to send a message to Mayak that he needs to control himself. Back at the Throne City, rebels are revolting against the king and his rule. The army and its resources are falling too short to contain the rebellion. That's when Lieutenant Kyera arrives and strikes down as many as possible with her sword. She is a fierce fighter. A one-man army, yet still not enough to deal with all the rebels. The Red King comes himself to take charge in his suit of armor. He rains fire on them all, not caring whether they're his citizens or rebels. The king's counselor begs Kyera to stop him from killing everything that moves. She beckons the king to let her subdue the rebellion in his name. She manages to stop them from fighting more. The king is dissatisfied. He wants blood. Governor Denebo comes at this moment, stripped of his bodily armor. The king asks him about his condition and what transpired at the steps. Denebo replies in a state of utter shock. Like the old rhymes said, he bore mountains on his back. He's not the Green Scar. He's the Sakaar son. The Red King rages with fury upon hearing this and burns the governor alive. He is the only son of Sakaar, and his people must worship him for it. And whoever chooses to even think otherwise must be flayed alive. He commands Kyera to spread the message throughout the nation so that they know who they should bow to. And if the choice is not him, then his shadow, Kyera, must wipe out all those who rebel. The one difference between rebellion and revolution is that if you lose, it's a rebellion, but if you succeed, it's a revolution. But sadly, the truth of the matter is that only victors write history. So their revolution may be lost as another one of many rebellions in the history of Sakaar. But they'll have stoked the revolutionary fire within every living thing in Sakaar. Part 9. Face Your Destiny. The Warbound and the liberated natives have set up camp near the border of the steppes. They found Primus Van and other prisoners dead with their throats cut. Mayak is growing impatient over the death toll. He wants action against Hiroim's better judgment. He goes to his coven, who are hopeful about him, that he'll save all the enslaved hives. He can hear them, see them in his head. They're still coming. Feeling helpless, Mayak shrouds himself with a blanket and sits on the ground, almost in a meditative state, turning his back on them. The next morning, the people of Sakaar approach Hulk in hopes of him leading them into battle against the tyrannical monarchy. Their peers and citizens are still being tortured in the Crown City, but Hulk has had enough of this revolution. He dismisses them, saying,
I am not the Green Scar. I'm the Hulk. And all the Hulk ever wanted was for people to leave him alone.
He's done fighting. He warns them that if they force his hand, then they'll face complete annihilation of their beloved planet. He starts walking away when no-name brood, Mayak, and his whole coven confront him. Mayak has grown in size and form. He is the new king of his hive now, and he'll not let Hulk leave. They surround him and remind him of the pact he made with Hiroim, Mayak, Korg, and Brood at the Imperial Arena over Lavinsky's body. Mayak's whole coven points their spears at him, blocking his way. They need him to overthrow their overlord and will not let him leave until he does so. But Hulk remembers what happens every time he tries to help people for a good cause. It always ends in a massacre. They think of him as their savior, but he knows that he's the world breaker, the bringer of death. It's his greatest fear and his darkest joy. The whole hive attacks him, piercing him, climbing on him, and he grabs them with his large hands, throwing them off him. Korg joins in on the fight to help Hulk, but anger has taken over Hulk, and he shoves Mayak really hard, nearly killing him when Korg intervenes and takes the next blow from him. Hulk comes to a halt when he sees Korg's blood on his hands. He begs Hulk to stop. Mayak can take on the Red King if he wants to, but Mayak's plans involve the Green Scar, and he'll take him. Hulk doesn't understand why they desperately believe in Hulk being the Sakarson and are seeking his help until he notices a green vine that's grown from his green blood on the ground. A life has bloomed on a wasteland that had been barren since the Spike Wars. It's a sign. Korg and Hiroim think that Hulk should go with them and the refugees into the steppes. He gives them hope and may be the one to write a new chapter of peace and prosperity. But Elo believes that'd be a waste of his skills. She agrees with Mayek that Hulk has the strength to win and must go to war. Hulk chooses war. All that has transpired until now points to Hulk being the chosen one, the Sakarson. The prophet foretold of a prophecy where the Sakarson would come to deliver the planet from all evil, and wherever the Green Scar has stepped, he's liberated slaves and prisoners. His blood is fuel for the land, and all natives see hope in him. But with his might and rage, will he save Sakaar or destroy it? Hidoim reminds everyone that the prophet's most important words were about finding the courage and savior within themselves. No destiny, no doom foretold. We make our own choices to save ourselves or destroy ourselves. Hidoim and Korg leave them and go north. Hulk, Elo, Mayek, the Hive, and the army of refugees march south toward war. Soon, they're met by the Imperial Army, led by Lieutenant Kyera. They shoot their arrows, but Kyera the Old Strong breaks their impact with her body, using her ancestral powers. The arrows hit her hardened skin and then fall to the ground. The refugees are about to reload when Hulk tells them to hold. He advances toward Kyera to have a one-on-one with her. She, a loyal shadow of her king, has come for Hulk's head. She gave him an opening back at the Imperial Arena to run away, but he didn't take that chance, and now Kyera must fulfill her duty to her king, her savior. Hulk doesn't understand that her loyalty isn't because of a mere station given to her. It's because without the Red King, she wouldn't be alive today. He holds her life in the palm of his hands. Part 10. The First Spike War. Kyera was 13 when the Spikes attacked her village. She was being trained for combat by her elders. She was not yet fully competent, but they knew that she had the old shadow strength in her, and she had 6 more years to hone her skills. But when the Spikes came, none of that mattered. Her strength was of no use against them. The alien parasitic spores attached themselves to the host and would take over their body and mind. Her father was one of the first victims. It took over his whole body and protruded large spikes from his skin. He wasn't her father any longer, only a walking anthropod with hunger. He attacked his own daughter. Kyera had no choice but to fight back. She cut him down, but that didn't stop him. Blades did nothing to these savages. They were like zombies. They'd be cut down, but within seconds they'd get back up. Kyera had learned to harden her skin only for a few moments back then. Her powers were failing to be useful. Her elders told her to flee, but she was not going anywhere. The Spikes had taken her home, her family. She had to kill her father, and now she'd rather die fighting than run. She kept slicing them gullet to groin, but it made no difference. They'd stand back up and attack again. That is when a young boy with his death's head war guards came. The adolescent savior ordered his war guards to blowtorch all the Spikes in the periphery. He turned them to ash and dust. He had saved her, but burned her village to the ground. It was the Red King. Kyera knew he was aware of the Spikes attacking, but he held back his forces until the last minute. He wanted a shadow with the old power and was willing to take any action to fulfill his desire. He let her whole village die just to get his hands on her, and when he did, he instilled an obedience disc on her. Kyera is still trying to reason with Hulk regarding the war. The Red King wiped out an entire village just to get Kyera to be his shadow. He wouldn't even flinch to kill millions to have Hulk's head. Hulk says that sociopath will do it anyway, so it's better to die fighting than wait for that maniac to come for them. Kyera points her blade at Hulk and retorts that at least the citizens and refugees will have a chance at survival if Hulk dies first. She challenges him to individual combat. No unnecessary blood needs to spill. She strikes with her blade, and Hulk counterattacks with his broadsword, breaking her blade in two. His sword breaks as well with the impact. Now they shall fight hand to hand, and this fight will be to death. The collision between the two heroes echoes through the earth. The impact of their strength transcends the south corner, and an earthquake is felt near the north of the steppes. Hidoim immediately realizes that it's Hulk fighting Kyera, the Old Strong. Her fists meet Hulk's chest, sending him flying across the field. It took all her strength to land that punch, but she only managed to break his armor and injure him. A punch like that, with the Old Strong power, would have killed anybody else in an instant. It left her bleeding from her nose and seriously weak. Hulk gets back up to make his move now. A foot soldier is communicating details of the fight on a comm to the king's counselor at the Imperial Palace. The Emperor is growing restless. He doesn't care about Kyera, only if the green skin is dead. The soldier watches in shock as the Elaha Olvines grow from the green blood on the ground. He mutters in complete disbelief, "It's true, he is the Sakarson." That is heard by the Emperor on the other end. His impatience turns into fury, and he orders his counselor,
All right, do it.
The counselor begs him to reconsider, but the Red King is unmoved. Kyera and Hulk have picked up their broken weapons to attack each other again when they hear a loud sound coming from the sky. She sees doom. Hidoim, Korg, and their squad hear it too. A missile approaches them as Korg asks what it is, and Hidoim mumbles in horror, "The end." burn them all. Kyera screams at her soldiers to retreat. The missile hammers into the field, releases a storm of spike spores into the air, and within seconds, the spores inhabit anything that lives and breathes. Hulk underestimates the situation. These spikes look like little bugs. How much damage can they do? Imperial soldiers are infected first. All at once, spikes stick out of their skin, turning them into an army of walking dead. Hulk is the strongest Avenger alive, and a bunch of parasites will not subdue him. He's about to confront the spikes when Kyera warns him that he'll not be able to kill them. Hulk reassures her that he can and will. Once he's done, he'll come for her head. He throws her into the air and goes after the spikes infectees. But they're invincible. They attack him with their spikes and sharp tongues. Mayek and Elo watch from behind as they take over Hulk. The Green Scar was their ultimate hope against any form of danger, but he too is getting beaten down. The tongue attack has infected him too. Purple spikes grow out of his green skin, and his mind is getting blurrier with animal rage. He screams at everyone uninfected to run as he picks up Kyera's broken blade and slashes his body open. He rips out the parasite from his body and slams it on the ground, and Mayek kills it with his spear. A large blob of flesh and spikes is coming in their direction. The spikes are absorbing everything organic in their path, cracking the earth as it goes. Hulk, Elo, and others are getting cornered on a small rock. They need to leave immediately. Elo spots Ansara, a walled egg farming village. The spikes will have infected the grass there too, but right now that village is their only option. Kyera landed in Ansara when Hulk threw her. The minute she lands, she warns the villagers that the spikes have attacked again and starts ordering them to take cover.
Call in your workers, weld shut your doors, and stoke your fires and furnaces.
They immediately start running and working. That's when a globe-like device shows up in the air. It comes near Kyera and projects a hologram of the Red King. He questions her about the Green Scar and is not too happy to learn that she's at a village helping puny citizens when she should be killing Hulk. She anxiously asks him to send the Death's War Guards and Deathfire bombs to fight the spikes or the entire continent will die. The Red King has launched them, not to take out the spikes. An Imperial dreadnought hovers over the steps where Hiroim and Korg are preparing to take cover. They think it's come to kill them, but it keeps going toward Hulk's location. By now, the king knows that Hulk cannot be killed with bombs, but he can detonate the bombs around the whole village to entrap him. Who cares if a couple of thousand die because of that? The Deathfire bomb engulfs Hulk from everywhere, but as expected, he lifts up a huge boulder and tosses it over the fire. Then, he and his cavalry march toward the village of Ansara. Kyera screams at him that they'll provide shelter to the refugees with him, but he can't enter. The hologram of the king commands Kyera to not let anyone in and to let the spikes kill them all. But Hulk asks her to set him aflame with the blowtorch she's holding. He's still infected, and the best way to get the little buggers out of him is to burn them out. Hulk is now spike-free. He takes the flame gun from Kyera and blazes a whole mob of spike infectees that were coming for them. Now, the king is growing more and more impatient. Kyera had so many chances to take out Hulk. Now that he's laser-focused on killing spikes, she can take her shot. Instead, she joins him with another flame gun to kill more spikes. Mayek can hear Kem calls again. It's coming from somewhere nearby. He can hear and feel the pain in the voices and visions. He notices a building with closed gates and goes to open it when one of the Sakaar men stops him. He says the facility is off limits, but Mayek ignores him and pushes his way through, and from the facility appears a crowd full of bugs and the last Hive Queen alive. This makes him furious, and he starts attacking the men in the village. Elo tries to stop him when a spike protuberance invades the village wall and pierces the Hive Queen. Mayek freaks out even more, but Hulk comes to his rescue. He pulls out the spike spore inside the Hive Queen and holds it until Mayek burns it to ash. This whole action is being recorded on a pleasure cruiser from the Imperial City and shown live on Vidbox to curious citizens. Right then, Hiroim, Korg, and their cavalry arrive on flying discs to help Hulk and their other friends. The spikes are breaking through the village walls. They need to get every person out of there and evacuate the whole place before they burn the joint to the ground with all the spikes inside. They're running out of firepower, too, and the Red King seems to be extremely annoyed as he speaks via the hologram. He wants Kyera to forget about the worthless citizens and focus on trapping the Hulk with the spikes. She assures him she's still a loyal servant, but she needs to get his subjects to safety first, and then she'll surely kill the Green Scar. She goes over to a young child crying for help and picks him up. This infuriates him further. He knows that Kyera can never kill the Green Scar, and that's why he released the spikes. She doesn't get a second to digest that information before the Red King lands a bomb on her. Fire and smoke fill the air. Hiroim, Korg, Elo, Mayek, and everyone else, including Hulk, are shock-stricken by the situation. Kyera has learned to harden her skin over the years. The bomb didn't kill her. She walks out of the smoke unharmed. The young child she was carrying in her arms has turned to cinder. There's only remorse now, nothing else. Tears start flowing uncontrollably from her eyes as the child gets blown away by the wind. She pledges to not rest until she kills the genocidal totalitarian. Kyera joins hands with the Hulk and his Warbound Pack. They leave the village together on the flying saucer as Ansada burns. Part 12. New alliances. Their saucer is in the air when the pleasure cruiser comes closer to them. Hulk has a peace of mind to share with all of Sakaar and the men on the cruiser recording it as it's shown on live telecasts all over the world. Hulk makes his speech.
You tried to kill us with swords and spears. You tried to kill us with bombs. You tried to kill us with your stupid spikes. But that just made us mad. So get ready, Red King. Now we're coming for you.
All the citizens, including the Red King, have received his message. They know a war is coming. Hulk, Korg, Brood, Elo, Hiroim, Maek and his hive, and now Kyera have set up camp with all the refugees and villagers in the steppes. Brood is entertaining the younglings of the hive with the stories of Hulk's victories. The last queen of Maek's hive is still recovering from her attack. Kyera is growing restless. She's worried the Imperial army will catch up soon. She suggests to Hulk that they should keep moving. Maek doesn't want to leave yet. His queen is still bleeding, and she needs at least another hour of rest. Kyera is stubborn, and so is Maek. If they move now, their queen will die, and her death means the end of his hive. Then, even if they defeat the Red King and the Spikes, they'll not survive. There's no choice at the moment but to move. Even the Hive Queen advises Maek to listen to everyone else. They're too late. The Imperial army has found them, and they're rallying the Spikes toward them. The army has made the Spikes, small and giant, travel forward through the chasm in the earth so that they can't reach the soldiers. Kyera shouts at the top of her voice to reach out to her fellow soldiers. She fought with them, ate with them, served with them. Now she asks them to join her and her new allies. She tells them of the Emperor's deception and that they should all stick together and fight against the tyranny of the Emperor. But they refuse to do so. They only obey their king, and they'll kill every rebel. Hulk jumps into the fissure where the spikes are and uses both of his hands to crack the surface of the earth further. Lava erupts and floods the whole chasm, taking countless spikes with it. Kyera and Hulk jump on the flying disc driven by Elo to escape the lava. As Maek and Brood take out any members of the Imperial army they can get their hands on. Everyone is on the flying discs now, ready to leave the chaos behind when Hulk and Kyera slip from the disc. But there's nothing to worry about. Fire can't kill the Incredible Hulk. He grabs Kyera by her waist, takes her into his arms, and takes a long and high jump into the air. Korg notices that and remarks with cheekiness,
It'll be tough for him to top that on their second date.
1 hour later, further down south in the steppes, they've set up camp again. The Imperials are closing in every passing second. They need to move soon and find help. Even Hulk, with his gamma ray powers and infinite rage, can't take down the Imperial city by himself. Hiroim wants to take him to the Shadow Elders. They are the most learned about the prophecy, and once they meet Hulk, they'll join their cause. Suddenly, they hear a loud shriek from the last Hive Queen. Hulk took out the spore earlier, but the infection runs too deep. She begs her fellow bugs to run from her as her conscience slips away, turning her into a spike bug. There's no saving her now. Hulk goes after her with a blowtorch and the intention to kill, but Maek pushes him away. He can't let him kill her. If she has to die, then it must be by her king's hands. Maek picks up the blowtorch and drowns his queen in fiery flames. Tears stream down his face. They are doomed now. The existence of their hive will soon come to an end. Maek has saved his fellow brothers, but he's also sentenced them to death. His hive now believes that Maek is their savior and world breaker. Maek reminds his subjects that he may have destroyed them, but he's no Sakaarson, and they still need to support Hulk to win a war, at least for the sake of revenge. Maek and his hive face the reality their existence is slowly fading away, the last flicker of hope extinguished. Korg, ever the silent sentinel, senses a dark tide of dread rising around them. He knows the dire circumstances will drive the few who remain to make cold, unempathetic choices born of fear and desperation. This cycle of hatred and violence will spiral out of control, consuming everything in its path, including Hulk. Korg realizes the tragic irony in it all. As the bloodshed claims more and more victims, he fears he'll be the last one standing, a solitary figure in a wasteland of loss. His stone physique, impervious to the ravages of time and war, will be his curse, as he'll witness hate destroy his companions, leaving him in agonizing isolation. They keep going further into the desert. Countless refugees follow the Warbound Pack in hopes of a better tomorrow. Hiroim asks everyone to seek shelter under the tarps as a sandstorm looms closer. Hulk, Elo, Hiroim, Kyera, and a few Sakaar men are hunkering under the same tarp. One old man speaks.
On the first day,
came fire on the second day when he speaks of the prophet's walk. Hidoim tells him to zip it. He's speaking blasphemous words with signs he's reading into, but they really need to be careful as they approach the Shadow Elders for help. The Elders believe in the stories too, but Hidoim thought of them as blasphemous as well. Hidoim made the mistake of presuming things before he was banished, and he'll not repeat his mistake. Hidoim was born and raised in a Sakaar temple and trained all his life to become a priest. When he read the prophet's words for the first time, it lit something in him. A fire, a passion, a desire to be the chosen one. He wanted to be a hero like any child wants, but he took it more seriously than the kids wearing Superman capes. He began training harder. He shed a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to become worthy. He never knew where his parents were, no connection to the past, which made him believe in his mythical existence even more. He prayed to the prophet, swore that he would never lie, cheat, or steal, nor profane the Creator's great works or the purity of his own body. Promised to keep his body as a pure vessel for the right time. Come initiation day, he was ready to become a priest and ready to face all challenges, but his master saw something in his eyes. He instantly knew of Hidoim's intentions. He wished to become the Sakarson, and that was blasphemy. He had been self-indulgent all this time, and when his master confronted him about it, he knocked his master to the ground. Since then, he's been marked as Hidoim the Shamed. He's still making mistakes now. He stopped trying to become the Sakarson, but he believes that the Hulk is him. The prophet's words regarding the Sakarson and the World Breaker were always in parables. He used his words to make everyone see within themselves when he spoke of the trials each of them shall face. But to claim somebody as the Sakarson is blasphemy. They are taking that risk now with the Hulk in hopes of defeating the Red King. Part 13.
Monsters!
Assemble. The ground beneath starts to rumble. They get out of their hiding to find a small group of wrinkled and grey-skinned people. The Shadow Elders have arrived. Devil Caucus, sand monsters surround them too. As a reflex, Hulk starts smashing the Devil Caucus. One of the Elders screams at him to stop. The Caucus came to find him, nothing more. Kyera, the Old Strong, greets them first. She tells them that she no longer serves the king, and he released the spikes all over their world, which generates an unexpected reaction from them. They ask her to go back and mend fences, otherwise her broken oath will bring doom upon them. Hidoim then introduces Hulk to all of them. The Elders take Hidoim, Kyera, and Hulk inside their home. At the center sits a large spaceship emitting blue smoke. It's the ancient vessel that brought the Shadow people to Sakaar, and they found a home here. So they serve Sakaar, as Sakaar served them. Their old power was strong, and they still carry it in their blood, but only a few traces. Therefore, they fired up the ancient engine, which resulted in creating a portal. The great portal brought the Death's Head guards, who fought the spikes the first time. Then it brought the Silver Surfer, and then the Green Scar. Hidoim thinks they're wrong to believe in the old prophecy, but they have faith that the son of Sakaar will come to save and unite all of Sakaar. But Hulk needs to pass some tests prepared by the Elders to prove his worth, although he has no interest in them. They don't pay any heed to his choice and probe him with their staff. It sends multiple visions to his head. All his friends are hurting him in the visions. Kor smacks him, Mayek plunges a spear into his chest, and Kyera hurts him. The Elders tell him that after everything, his friends will still think of him as a monster. Yet the Hulk is unfazed by these visions. He may be a monster, but so are his friends. This time, the Elders dive deeper into his mind. Tony, Mr. Fantastic, Doctor Strange, all his supposed friends stand before him. They mock and laugh, call him a monster. They blame him for Betty Banner's death, Jarella's death, and even his friend Jim Wilson's. This time too, he'll get everyone killed because that's what the Hulk does. Hulk punches the image of Iron Man before his eyes and snaps back into reality, more furious than before. The Elders don't think he's ready to uphold the title of the Sakarson. There's too much hate buried deep in his heart, and with all that fury, he'll bring nothing but doom. Kyera doesn't care if he's the true savior or not. She tries to convince the Shadow Elders that with their help, Hulk can at least stop the Red King and the spikes. Hulk has had enough of it. He just picks up the Shadow People's shuttle in hand and walks out. He got what he came for. They start pacing in the direction of the capital city. Mayek and his Hive brothers are at the front line. The spikes stand before them. Mayek is about to blast them when he hears their voices. The spikes are coming with him. Korg is with them, and he notices the King's aircraft coming for them. They manage to destroy one, but there are too many of those ships. Hulk and Kyera fly in just at the right moment. They're riding on the Shadow People's stone starship, standing on the deck. An army of puny Sakaar pinkies is nothing compared to the old power of Kyera and the strength of Hulk. Hiroim and the robot Archie are inside the control room of the starship, trying to boost up the amp for more firepower. There's a storm of missiles released by the Imperial dreadnoughts outside, as Archie keeps trying to fix a 1,000-year-old weapons system. Finally, the weapons fire, and the Imperial ships drown in flames. Their next stop is going to be the Imperial Palace and the Crown City. The Emperor is expecting their attack. He's already fully dressed in his huge mechanical armor, giving orders to detonate more bombs, but some kind of an electromagnetic pulse is shutting down their system. The starship seems to have more than one quality, and Warbound's little robot knows how to use it well. The revolting cavalry has reached the doors of the Crown City. Everyone is chanting Hulk's name.
Green Scar! Green Scar! Green Scar!
Now, all those who have seen him believe the Prophet has sent him to save them. The King's army has no power now. Their system is down, so their bombs won't work. This is the perfect time for an attack on the city, but it's surrounded by fire and spikes, and no other way to get in. Hulk asks Mayak if he can still hear them coming. Mayak hasn't stopped hearing them. Their smell, their voices, but it's all unclear. Hulk has figured out the spikes have been trying to reach out, which is why they keep coming with Mayak. Kyera and Korg go ahead with Hulk towards the fire. Both of them are prepared for a gruesome fight with the spikes, but Hulk asks them to hold back and then asks Mayak to communicate what the spikes are trying to say. Once they reach the jungle of spikes, a narrow pathway is opened up for them, and none of the spikes attempt to attack them. No-Name Brood can chem them too, and she hears the spikes calling out to Hulk. They want him to enter their broken ship. Large, humanoid spike creatures with glowing bodies stand before them inside the ship. They are the Spike Fathers, the biggest ones and the leaders. Korg is growing nervous by the minute. He doesn't quite understand what Hulk is trying to achieve. That's when Hulk asks Mayak to chem with everyone and show them whatever the spikes have been communicating with Mayak. They've been sending stories and memories of their life before Sakaar and how they ended up on the planet. Since they've been on Sakaar, they've become hungry spores consuming every organic material they touch. But before they landed here, they used to be peaceful creatures in their natural habitat, only absorbing cosmic energies from dying stars. They'd migrate every few generations to new galaxies in their ship, absorbing dying stars, and live their lives out in the open space. They were never meant to land on Sakaar, only past the world on their way to another galaxy. But their ship crashed on the planet, breaking apart. They had no way home. With each passing day, they got hungrier with no cosmic energy to feed them. After a point, they lost their sanity. Anything organic became food, but nothing could satiate their cosmic hunger, so they ate more and more, becoming unstoppable. Millions died to satisfy their cravings, yet they were still famished. Then, the Emperor's robots came and loaded them back onto their few working ships and were still famished, and launched them into space. Being back into space could have been their salvation, but they were trapped within their own ships for 3 generations, eating each other alive. After so long, they were brought back to the surface once again, still starving, still trapped. So their children run amok again, consuming everything they can. All they've wanted all this time is to go back to their natural habitat among the stars, and Hulk has a working ship, which he took from the Shadow People. The Emperor is scheming to use the spikes to his advantage, but they only wish to be free. They're grateful to Hulk for caring enough to listen, and in return, are willing to help. They can control their children from attacking Hulk and his friends for a while, as long as they're promised the ship for later. Hulk agrees. Part 14. The Last War of Independence. Elo and Hiroim are waiting for a signal from Hulk away from the fire and spikes. Elo is growing impatient. She doesn't want to wait for the fire to die and the spikes to gain higher ground, but Hiroim insists they wait for Hulk. Group of Pinkies, Sakaar men, come running to Elo for help. The King's Senator happens to be among the crowd. They've chosen to abandon the Red King and join hands with the true Imperial Elo Kefi. They call her Queen and believe the throne truly belongs to someone who has Imperial blood running through their veins. Everyone hears a bomb going off at a distance, and Elo takes that opportunity to rile up everyone and charge toward the Imperial Palace. Hiroim is still skeptical of her choices, but he goes along. As they advance, the Red King appears in his suit through the smoke and fire. He thanks the senator for bringing Elo to him, and then burns him alive. A crooked smile on his face makes it apparent how much he's enjoying this. He asks Elo,
"Now then, Elo Kefi, my blood traitor to the Empire, do you prefer incineration or decapitation?"
Hulk comes in from behind and retorts with,
How about option 3, kicking your ass?
The spikes have sided with Hulk and his army now. The king is cornered from every direction. Either he surrenders or receives death. via Hulk smash. Imperial soldiers step in to defend their king, but the Red King burns his own people to clear his path to the green scar. He throws a torrent of fire at Hulk, but it's barely an inconvenience for him. Hulk lands a heavy punch to his fire. Then he asks Mayek to chem him with all of them. He wants the Red King to remember and feel the weight of all the atrocities he's committed. Every life he shattered, every crime he committed against his subjects whom he was supposed to protect, and realize the broken pieces of every soul he's condemned. He wants the Red King to be haunted by the faces of the millions he's tormented over decades, and to be consumed by the horror of his actions and the terror he'd unleashed upon innocence before Hulk sends him to his well-deserved death. He wants the tyrant to have visions of the native hives he eradicated without a thought, to feel the searing pain Korg felt when he had to take the lives of his own brothers, Elo's overwhelming grief when Lavinsky died in the Great Arena, the unbearable anguish that suffocated Kyera as the small child burned in her hands. Each memory should pierce his conscience. He must feel it all. The Red King must descend into the depths of his own horror and understand that death is not the end, but the beginning of an eternity in hell. But nothing pokes at his conscience. Perhaps he doesn't have one. There is only pride and mockery in his eyes. He believes it was in fact his duty to kill and enslave, as they're all beneath him, and he did well. Hulk's anger turns into mad fury as he strikes hard at the Red King. The King blocks him with his hand and uses a flaming sword to gash Hulk's arms, leaving a gaping wound. This makes Hulk even madder and stronger. He grabs the flaming sword and snatches it away from him, and lands a harsh blow which sends the King falling on his back. He gets back up and shoots bombs from his suit, which gets Hulk madder, and he breaks most of the King's armor off his head and arm. But the Red King has an almost delusional idea of being undefeatable. He gets up and commands Hulk to kneel before him. He's giving him one last chance to redeem himself. If only Hulk gets down on his knees, completely submits, and licks the dirt off the King's feet, then the King will allow him to live. He'd be glad to watch every soul Hulk has saved burn, but Hulk has had enough of his nonsense. He picks the Red King and chucks him onto the ground. The King fires all the bombs attached to his suit. It creates a rift between the surfaces, and hot sizzling lava erupts from the crack. The King has committed a last act of evil to doom everyone, and shielded himself inside a protective bubble. Kyera is an old strong, therefore she can hear the plates of the earth cracking. The earth beneath has started to crumble, and Hulk decides to go and stop it. He also asks Korg to protect everyone if he doesn't survive. Kyera and Korg are about to break down in tears as they bid Hulk their goodbyes, and he descends in the flood of fire. With his strength, he can either make a world or destroy one. Hulk has always imagined himself to be a world breaker, a destroyer, and everyone he's known on his own planet Earth has labeled him a monster. But here, on Sakaar, everyone thinks him a hero, a savior, and he's willing to give everything to not let these people lose hope. Today, the world breaker unbreaks his world. Hulk uses all his muscle and force to pull the plates together, and it works. He saved them. He shifted the very plates of Sakaar. Korg extends his hand and pulls Hulk back up from the rift onto the surface. The Red King has been watching the whole ordeal, safe in his protective bubble. Hulk has no mercy for him anymore. He lunges at him with a right hook, knocking him out of the Imperial city's wall. When the King lands on the ground, it causes a huge explosion. Finally, the Red King has been defeated. Sakaar pinkies outside the city see wilderbots coming their way and flee the situation. The Red King, still alive and arrogant, stands up and refers to the wilderbots as his slaves. He still believes he's their king and that they'll obey him. He commands them to stop as the wilderbots tear him apart. The war is over, but Elo isn't done yet. She goes after anyone who stood beside the king during the war. Hiroim stops her. Enough blood has been spilled, and now it's time for peace. She stops for a moment and notices that they're completely surrounded by spikes. She screams at Hiroim to get the Death's Head war guards and laser cannons. Kyera interjects and explains their alliance with the Spike Elders. Elo finds it hard to believe that monsters like spikes would have a helping hand in the war. They need to be killed. Hulk silences her by saying the real monster on Sakaar is dead, and now the hour has come to welcome harmony with a warm embrace. Hulk walks away with the Spike Elders inside the Imperial Palace. Kyera looks at him with longing. She's worried about whatever he's about to do next. Hulk sits on the throne as Spike Elders suck on his arm. They are so very hungry, but they don't wish to bring any more death, so Hulk has offered himself as food. His powers from the gamma radiation will be enough to satiate the spikes for the time being until they find their way back to space. If the Spike Elders are fed, then Spike children outside remain calm. Part 15. Attack thy neighbor. Loud cheers are heard coming from the great arena. Everyone celebrating their newfound freedom and the Green Scar's coronation. Hulk never wanted to be around intelligent life. Now he's supposed to rule them? But Korg believes he's the only one who can mend this broken world. Even if the Red King is dead, the internal turbulences remain, and if anyone can curb them, well, it's Hulk. Kaera is distressed about the spikes feeding on him without a break. Hidoi knows Hulk is strong, but he's worried too. He blurts out that even Hulk can't hold on for too long, which makes Hulk madder. And the madder he gets, the stronger he becomes. Kaera holds his hand as the spikes suck on him incessantly. Everyone leaves the room except for Kaera. She stays with him, holding him compassionately as Hulk's powers slowly start to strip away. It's been 7 hours since the spikes started feeding. Hulk still sits on the throne, wrapped in a shawl. The spike elders have grown big and thick. Kaera wants him to stop. If he keeps this up, he may not survive. But Hulk is stubborn. He shifts form as the last dredges of his strength are sucked from his body. Kaera murmurs, "Hulku!" as a human hand clutches the armrest of the throne in pain. Banner whispers, "It's all right, Kaera. As long as they feed off him, no one else dies." Kaera questions, in confusion, him. The spikes are finally full. They thank Green Scar and float away. The energy they've sucked from Hulk will be passed on to their children outside the city, and for another day they'll not need to feed on any other organic matter. Banner gets up from the throne and walks toward the balcony. The shawl falls off his shoulder, and Hulk turns around to ask Kaera about breakfast. The Green Scar walks among his people, with Kaera by his side, as they cheer for their new king. Natives offer him plates of food as a show of affection. He kindly accepts it from them. Then suddenly a tremor through the ground makes everyone lose balance. In the northwest corner of the Crown City, Mayek and Elo are running rampant, taking out every loyalist of the Red King. The Imperial soldiers are still trying to fight in the name of their dead king. Mayek and Elo seem to have a blast, teaming up to clean house until Elo comes across a woman begging to be spared. But she knows no mercy and will kill every loyalist alive. She goes after the woman, but comes to a halt when she realizes it's her mother. Mayek doesn't care about all that. He still charges at her with his spear, but Elo stops him in time. Elo and Mayek start arguing about her mother's life. Mayek believes she was aligned with the Emperor all this time, even when the Emperor got her father killed and threw Elo into the moor. So her mother deserves death. Her mother finally speaks.
The Emperor was insane. He had to go. But we are still blooded Imperials. This world belongs to us, not the bugs.
This riles up Mayek even more. He remembers that the so-called royals have been slaving his brothers for generations now. They've killed and tortured native hives. Now it's time for some long overdue vengeance. Bugs start attacking with swords and spears, and Elo slashes them down to protect her mother. That's when Hulk jumps in to interrupt their civil chaos. He holds down Mayek, and Kaera immobilizes Elo. They both still want to fight. Elo wants to cut down all the bugs for hurting her mother, and Mayek wants revenge on all the royal pinkies. Elo screams at Mayek, "And you're ready to slaughter them in cold blood?" Mayek retorts with, "You happy doing it before? Remember Primus Vand? You cut his throat while he was crying for mercy." Mayek's hive is already doomed, and all he can do is keep making the guilty pay for it. Elo is ready to take him on too. Hulk silences them both, saying that if they want a war so much, then they will have it. They can fight each other in the Imperial arena. Korg and Hiroim stand as referees at the Great Arena. Mayek stands with his hive brothers, Elo with her people, both sides fully armed. Hiroin warns them that if they fight, then according to the ancient laws of savage Sakaar, it must be till death. Korg asks them one last time to give up, but both sides refuse. Shadow Elders have arrived in the city looking to hold a council with the Green King. They come to the Great Arena searching for Hulk when they come across the throwdown that's about to happen. Some of them had hoped that the Green Scar would be a different kind of king, but after witnessing the two groups of civilians about to cut each other's throats, they feel hopeless again. Hulk's world is so full of hate. The two sides charge at each other, but right at that moment, Hulk barges into the fighting pit, landing his fist on the ground. It sends a tremor through the ground. Everyone falls. He starts throwing and beating everyone up. There's no discrimination. Hulk doesn't care which side they belong to. He just starts beating them up. This has left both Elo and Mayek in a state of shock. Before they have a chance to wrap their heads around what's going on, Hulk screams at the top of his lungs,
You want to fight? Fight me or die!
All the natives band together against Hulk and begin to attack him with their spears and swords. They keep going at him, but there's no defeating the Hulk. When everybody has had a fill of their anger, they stop. Hulk stands alone, with tons of spears and swords sticking out of his body. Blood gushes out of his wounds as he asks them to embrace each other. They are all warbound now. If they try to fight again, he'll kill them himself. The Shadow Elders look surprised and impressed. Their hope is not lost. Green King shall bring forth a new world, after all. Part 16, Until I Found You. The Shadow Elders, Kyera, Korg, Hiroim, and Hulk are holding a council meeting in the Imperial Palace. They want to re-establish the Shadow Pact with the new king. The laws of the pact say if the Shadow people are guaranteed their ancient lands and rights, then the crown will have their allegiance and support in times of war. They'll also provide Hulk with a Shadow Guard. They put Kyera's name as a suggestion on the table, but Hulk refuses the last offer. He'll grant them their land, as is their right, but he doesn't need a Shadow Guard. He needs a queen and wants Kyera to be her. They shake hands on the newly formed treaty, and Hulk officially proposes to Kyera in front of everyone. She accepts his hand in marriage as they exit the council hall. Kyera waits for Hulk in their bedroom. She's kneeling on the floor before a small globe emitting blue fire. Her usually tied hair now cascades freely, framing her face with a soft, enchanting elegance. She's wearing no armor, holding no weapons. She's just seated on the floor, bearing her true emotions. The shadow ceremony is auspicious to her and her people, and it must be performed to unite her and Hulk. Her fiancé enters the room from behind. He also kneels down in front of Kyera, perhaps the only person he'll ever kneel to willingly. It'll be a union between equals. Kyera takes his hand, places it over the slow burning blue flame, and asks him, "Will you burn with me as I burn with you?" Hulk replies,
I will.
She asks again, "And will you bear your body and soul to me as I bear mine to you?" This time, Hulk remains silent. He has fought his other half for so long, but to completely give in to this relationship, he needs to share his joy and bear his demons to her. Kyera beckons him once more to show all of himself. Hulk closes his eyes, and his green skin gradually turns to a peach-white color. His large physique slowly reduces in size, and when he opens his eyes, Bruce Banner looks back at Kyera. There's a bewildered look on her face. Bruce introduces himself and explains how Hulk and he are two minds and one body, two people and one soul. The shock in Kyera's eyes turns into a soft and loving gaze. She leans over and kisses him. Banner turns back to Hulk as he passionately kisses his new wife. They stand outside on the balcony with a blanket wrapped around their clad bodies as they share an intimate moment and watch the spikes float around their surrounding in blissful peace. Brood and Mayek are in a different part of the castle. Mayek is still grumpy over the whole ordeal that went down with Elo. He'd hoped that Hulk, being a vengeful beast, wouldn't stop him from slaughtering a few Sakaar men. Now those pinkies get their queen, but his hive is deprived of one. He prefers the Hulk that likes to smash, get angry, kill. Brood asks him to let go of his anger. They have a chance at peace, so forgetting is the best plausible option. Mayek is stubborn though. Brood takes him to a dark corner and caresses his face, asking him to let go and be free with her. They hear a loud noise. They go to inspect it. It's the space shuttle in which Hulk came to Sakaar. Both of them enter the ship and find the recording by the Illuminati. They watch the whole thing, and a plan begins to web itself in Mayek's head. His friends clearly abandoned him, and if he shows it to Hulk again, he'll be forced to recall all the hurt and pain. That may just be the fuel to make him want to smash everything again. Hulk is lying on his wedding bed with Kyera when he hears Mayek's voice. He's chemming with Hulk. He gets up to check it out. The voice leads him back to the ship. The Illuminati recording is playing as he enters. He remembers the betrayal. It's not his first time hearing it, but it still stings like it is. His teammates and friends justifying why they duped him into exile with no way home. He doesn't need a second watch. He strides toward the screen and smashes it in. Hulk has had enough hate for a lifetime. But here he is, finally getting a chance at life, and he'll not trade it for anything. Mayek is disappointed, but accepts his decision. Hulk returns to his room and gently picks up Kyera. He launches into the air. He jumps his way to the steps. When he first arrived on Sakaar, Kyera had offered him sanctuary in the steps, where he'd never have to fight again. Now, Hulk asks Kyera if she'll make a haven with him here, out in the open with no one to disturb. Kyera kisses him softly, comforts him, saying that she'd follow him anywhere. But he is a king now. People of Sakaar look up to him. Hulk still fears his true nature. He's only known himself as a monster. Could there be more to him? Kyera reminds him of the time they fought on the steppes, and he bled on the land. She shows him the vegetation that bloomed on a barren desert from his blood. Flora and fauna exists on that land because of Hulk. She assures him that he belongs among all of that beauty, with his people, with his queen, and soon with his children. Kyera takes his hand and places it on her belly. They look at each other with hope and love. Part 17. Goodbye, stranger. Hulk and Kyera are in the Crown City's trader district. The whole place reeks of the damages of war. Broken walls, broken homes, scattered stones. They're helping the natives rebuild the place, stone by stone. The time has come for a fresh start, and Hulk wants to get his hands dirty with joy and peace. The Red King may be dead, but internal conflicts still remain. Hulk assigns Hiroim and Korg to go talk to the Filians and negotiate a peace treaty with them. He asks the robot Archie to go inside the Twisted Woods and talk to the Wildebar. Wilderbots. Lastly, he wants Elo and Mayek to help him with the spike situation. But first, everybody joins in with the cleaning crew to remake the broken parts of the city. A few hours have passed since everyone began working. A few Sakaar men sit on the ground, tired, grumbling about the new regiment that's making them work like slaves. The Red King forced people into fighting or working for him, and if they disobeyed, he would have them killed. Hulk is only asking everyone to lend a hand in rebuilding their home again, as he too works alongside them. Elo disagrees. She thinks Hulk is nothing more than a dumb brute. The only reason no one challenges him is because he's so freakishly strong. Mayek counters with his words. This hive will cease to exist soon anyway. The rich pinkies of Sakaar have lost their wealth and positions too, but maybe it's all necessary to pass so the next thing can come. Hulk arrives at this moment. He needs Mayek and Elo to get on with their next assignment. Kaera and Hulk are busy lifting the ancient ship of the shadows from the ground. He asks Mayek to come with them and tell them to get in. The spikes begin to crawl their way inside the ship. Mayek tells Hulk that he doesn't hear anything from them, only feels their gratitude and happiness because Hulk cared enough to listen to them and help them get back home. The ship takes off and launches into space. It starts orbiting Sakaar alongside its broken moon. Everyone on the ground is confused about why they're not leaving yet. Mayek comes with them again and informs Hulk that the Spike's brothers are still trapped on the broken moon, still trapped in their ships. The working of the Red King, obviously. They need help for one last time. The only one who doesn't require a spacesuit to go into space is the mighty Hulk. He jumps high into space and lands on the broken moon. Hulk rips open the sealed ships on the moon, and spike spores float out of them and join their brothers and fathers. As soon as they're released, a million voices are heard, speaking to them all over their universe. Every native of Sakaar who lost a loved one to the spikes can hear the voices. Someone's daughter, someone's father, a son or a friend. Every person consumed by the spike. All their voices, their essences being released. A catharsis for the whole planet. They all get to say goodbye to their lost family and friends, and the spikes vanish into space on their new ship. Hulk lands on Sakaar from space like a shooting star. Yet Owen, Korg, and Kaera notice smoke at a far-off distance. Kaera immediately runs toward it. Hulk stands there, waiting for her. She comes running into his arms and wraps herself around him. Hulk has found family on Sakaar. They return to the capital together, and all the citizens wait there to thank him for giving them one last chance at goodbyes. The people love their new king. He is no tyrant, but a friend whose hand they can hold and their feelings freely. They take him to the center square of the city, where they've erected a statue in his honor. A victorious statue of Hulk is popping out of the spacecraft he arrived in. Hulk is a little taken aback by the shower of love and gratitude, but he humbly thanks them all for their generous effort. He turns to Kaera and asks about what to do next. We just live. Archie has entered the Twisted Woods to negotiate peace with the Wilderbots. Although the Wilderbots have no peaceful intentions, they've joined hands with the Red King's deposed Death's Head guards. They want to keep killing any natives on their path. Archie asks them to tap into his feed and see everything the new king has achieved. He successfully sent the Spikes back home, who had taken more lives than the Wilderbots. He sent Hidoim the Shamed and Korg the Cronin to negotiate another peace treaty with the Filians. Hulk was known as a monster when he first arrived, but he still went on to fight for his friends, free slaves, defeat the tyrant king, and heal the very land of Sakaar with his blood. Archie asks the Wilderbots to reconsider and join a new nation built on hope and tranquility. The Wilderbots understand it now, and they see why the humans want to kill him. Hulk, a monster ruling over a world for monsters. They've read the feed from Archie. They found something that even Archie has seemed to miss. The ship that Hulk arrived in speaks to the robots. Just then, they hear a loud explosion from the capital city. Hulk and Kaera are still discussing the rest of their lives at the center square. So many things to do before their child is born. A sudden beeping starts coming from the spaceship. Recording from the Illuminati starts replaying itself. It's a warning alarm. The ship is about to blow up. Just a moment ago, Hulk could imagine a happy and fulfilled life here, but now he's rushing everyone to evacuate the place. Everybody is running to and fro in confusion and fear. He grabs the ship and throws it up in the air as hard as he can, covers Kaera with his body. The ship detonates itself. He's holding Kaera in his hands. She's barely breathing as she says her last words. I promise I will never leave you. Her lifeless body gets more burns as the explosion reaches the ground. Part 18. Hello Darkness, my old friend. The blowout rattles the whole city. People inside the palace, inside taverns, men and bugs playing cards, women chatting, all of it blown to smoke in a matter of minutes. Every man outside the city starts calling their loved ones. Most calls are not even picked up. Hidoim and Korg have seen the explosion from afar. They realize it must be the shuttle made by the humans. Elo was not in the city when it happened, but her mother was in the Imperial Palace. She saw the explosion and called her mother on a comm. she promised to get her out, but it was too late. The last words out of her mother's mouth were, "Now listen, I am an old, proud woman, and I'll only say this once. This world you and your friends were making, it was a good thing." One last chance of hope is also lost. The tectonic plates have begun to shatter again. Hulk used all his strength to save the planet from cracking open, yet it still happened. Korg leaps toward Hiroim to protect him, but Hiroim doesn't need it anymore. His skin has turned to stone. His clan elders died in the explosion as well, and all powers from the Shadow Elders have transferred to him. Now, he carries the strength and fear that threatens Hiroim. If he doesn't join him, then Korg will drown himself in the lava with him. So, Hiroim takes Korg's hands and both of them leave together. The humans sent Hulk away because he was too strong and unpredictable. But then, after landing on a planet where he was immediately forced into becoming a gladiator, he thought that a monster received a monster's fate. But he made friends, freed slaves, fought wars, gave hope and life on this planet. So he thought maybe even monsters have a place to go. Until his new home and wife were burned down before his eyes. The puny humans will not leave him alone, even in exile. Hulk thinks of an overdue death that will sweep him off his feet while he holds Kaera's lifeless body in his arms. He just wants them back, his people, his friends, his wife, and his life. He falls to his knees and screams out in the open, in agony.
Give them back. Give her back.
Death would be the ultimate escape, but not before some good old revenge. The bomb that took everything from him in a blink of an eye only made him stronger. The next war he rages will be on Earth. A ship lands near him and his Warbound Pack walks out of it. Mayek, No-Name Brood, Elo, Korg, and Hiroim. He's helped them, rescued them, saved them countless times, and now the time has come for them to prove to be his loyal allies. When Hulk can only see darkness and despair, his Warbounds come to show him a light, a red light that leads its way back to his origins where a bloodbath awaits. Archie has a map of the whole universe in his brains, and he can show them their way to the humans. They all ignite a spark of motivation within Hulk. Soon, within the ravaged city, they begin forging weapons with the few Sakaar natives who survived the blast, their hands hardened by loss and fury. The clang of metal against metal echoes through the ruins as they prepare with relentless determination, building their strategy and sharpening their axes and swords. Every strike is fueled by the thirst for vengeance, every plan steeped in the bitterness of what was taken from them. As they work, they desensitize themselves for what lies ahead, fortifying their resolve until their scarred hearts turn into stone. This is no mere preparation. It's the birth of a force driven by rage, ready to unleash the atrocities of hell in their next brutal fight, this time on Earth with the puny humans. All preparations for the next phase, the World War Hulk. Marvel's verdict: an extremely gritting saga juiced up with incredible action sequences and storylines, a journey toward personal growth and redemption, only to be sucked into a black hole of revenge. It keeps the readers engaged and wanting more. Greg Pak really knocks it out of the park with the right amount of dry humor and painful character arcs in the saga of the planet Hulk. He creates a whole new world with elements of a barbaric Rome ingrained into an alien planet, along with modern cutting-edge technology. The arena resembles the Colosseum. The soldiers wear sheathing that looks like armor from the Trojan War. It makes the comic feel close to home yet otherworldly. The artwork in this comic makes it a very good setup for a video game universe with all the new characters, armors, and places. You can properly visualize all the wars that take place, especially with all the attention to detail it has with protective suits, weapons, and arenas. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks everyone.